groups that we coddled had proved very stimulating. And from reports I'm getting from my tutors, I'm getting the very definite impression that this is an unusually perceptive year. What's especially rewarding is how many of you are now starting to discern the sinews of manipulation underneath the cloak of ideological invisibility that the dominant ideology tries to draw around itself. The range and the scope of the assignments you're about to commence is truly exciting. Nikkei is interrogating the rhetorical deceit used in a recent attempt to pose a program of kindergarten cross-dressing and non-sexist stereotypes. And Rosie Trondos is interrogating patriarchal assumptions in the rules and associations of the regional brass bands in the 1890s. One of the boldest investigations is Angela Judd's proposal to look at the mythologies of a three-generational family as controlling patriarchal texts currently under interrogation by the contestant discourses of non-essentialist families. I can't wait to grip Angela's, come to grips with Angela's salient points in what I'm sure will be a precise anatomical dissection of great precision. When you've started to collect your data, Angela, please, that's
Gully shows the ball a bit, moves forward, good drive for him. Loose ass. Off the right. To Sabula. That's a great break, and that's why he's
this is the university project.
but Miller's better in the open field. Going the other
How
way
is
is
Cancer. It's no big deal.
Three Eagles and a drop.
My back's wrecked and I've been in more or less constant pain for the last 40 years.
I'm sorry.
Don't do it. There's a time for all of us to go, and I've reached it.
Everyone's going to be very sad.
Come off it up. They'll throw a bloody party.
I think what they said at your birthday.
You heard it. I ruined all their bloody lives. What do you want me to talk about into that thing?
I just want you to answer some questions about how you see your life in retrospect.
Retrospect's all I've got. So what are you trying to prove?
Nothing.
Come on. You're a red-hot feminist like your mother, aren't you?
I tend to see eye to eye with her mostly.
So you're trying to show what a rotten old chauvinist bastard I've been, aren't you?
I'm interested in how you see yourself.
Do you think I ruined all their lives?
I'll be trying to keep you as open a mind as possible.
You'd be the first feminist that ever had.
Why do you say that?
You aren't interested in the truth, none of you. You've got a fixed set of ideas in your heads, and the truth can go to hell.
Well, there isn't an absolute truth, Grandpa. We socially construct truth.
You've got to have the baby. Much as you hate it, that's the truth and you're stuck with it.
We have the biological capacity to have babies, yes, but the desire to have babies is socially constructed.
Rubbish.
Or at least
It's in your bloody nature. And that's where all the trouble starts. If you're going to have your little bundle of joy, you've got to find some idiot to start it and look after you. First choice, naturally, would be someone who looks like Mel Gibson, who works as a heart surgeon. But you usually have to settle for choice number 396. So that poor coot cots it for the rest of his life, because he ain't Mel Gibson, he works as a roof tower.
Is that your explanation for the tension between the sexes?
Yeah, and I'm sticking with it.
Let's move on, shall we? Is it true that you advised my mother to stop her relationship with my father?
Too right. And by Christ was I right about that one. Sorry. They're your parents. But if you try and tell me they're happy, I'll laugh.
I think that basically they are happy.
Are you?
I know Mom is away a lot, and I miss her. But I'm very proud of what she's
You were
achieved.
bawling your eyes out the night you did so well in that school play. She was in bloody New York.
Yes, I know.
I saw you. I was there. She ought to be horsewhipped.
If Dad had had to be in New York, you wouldn't have felt that.
All right, I'm a dinosaur. I just think mothers should spend more time with their children. And you should have had one brother and sister at least. If you're gonna have kids, it's a crime just to have one.
Why?
Only children get spoiled rotten. You're no exception. When's the last time you ever washed a dish?
It was Mom's choice not to have any more children, and I can understand that. She was determined to have a career.
Career. So great about getting to the top in a firm that researches how to launch a new brand of cigarettes. Is that more important than being there when your daughter needs you? She ought to be horsewhipped.
Grandpa, you're being incredibly sad.
I'm telling you the truth as I see it. Angela, I'm too old to change the way I am. And I think you're a classy little heifer, and that the world would have been better off with one more of you than one more cigarette brand. Let's just leave it at that.
I think we'd better. So, you tried to get rid of my mother because you perceived her as being too strong.
Is this confidential? None in the family is ever going to read any of it.
I give you my word.
It's not so much your mother being strong. Your father's too weak. He's my son, and I love him. But he's too nervy and anxious to please. Just about anybody can walk right over him. How's he coping since he lost his job?
Why haven't you asked him?
I didn't want to embarrass him.
I think he would have appreciated it. I don't think he's adjusting very well.
Poor kid. I knew he was in for a tough time ever since he was 4 or 5. He could never stand up for himself.
He didn't fit the traditional male role.
If you can't stand up for yourself, you sink, male or female. Christ, you think your mother can't stand up for herself? The only difference between her and a pit bull terrier is that when it's going for the kill, its jaws lock shut.
Spider, is it true?
She wasn't serious about your Aunt Mom.
Why do you say that?
Take a close look at her. She looked just as bad in those days. Men get excited about women who look good. Sorry, but nobody constructs that fact either. They've all got to have somebody to blame for the fact that their lives didn't pan out the way they dreamed. And I admit it.
Jessica and Monica are bitter that they didn't get the chance to go to university.
I know, they should have gone. They were both bright girls, but things were really tough financially. They both should have gone.
Grandma says that you were earning really good money and she still can't understand why things were so tight.
You said you wanted to learn how I view my life in retrospect. You really want to know?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my life was tremendous right after the time I married your grandmother. Cricket, football, billiards, dances, mates, motorbikes, the yard theater, and a dead easy job working for the council. Paradise. Then I meet this bit of fluff. Suddenly I'm married. But before I even get to find out what a tough little nut your grandmother really is, along comes the Second World War. So, of course, a bloke does the right thing and finds himself facing the invincible Imperial Japanese Army up on that Dakota Trail. Most of my mates died, but I survived. Point one for your bloody feminist theory. If there's a war on and some poor fools have got to go, it's the blokes who get sent. And don't tell me it's the women who get raped. Because all that was happening was I was either delirious with malaria or getting shot at. Okay, so I get home, and the minute I jump into bed, your grandmother's pregnant with your father. So she stops going to work, and my council job pays nowhere near enough for my new responsibility. The only way to make ends meet is if I do some job that's so tough not many others will do. You'll never understand what it's like to lug millions of tiles on thousands of roofs, year in, year out, starting at 5 every morning. And when you're up there, you know that one day, sooner or later, you're going to have your one big fall. So you always take on a partner to help each other out with money when the time comes. And I had my big fall in my early 30s. The doctor said I should never have to go back on the roofs again. My back was so bad. 3 fused vertebrae. But by then, I had 3 kids.
Wasn't it about then that Grace wanted to go into business with a friend?
No, that was later. I was offered a greenkeeper's job, and it would have been easier on my back, but it didn't pay much, and Grace didn't want to leave the kids at that stage. So, back up on the roofs I went. Point 2 for you feminists. If a bloke has kids, it's he who has to ultimately bring in the dough.
Well, not really. These days.
It might be different these days, but that's how it was back then. In my day, it wasn't so easy to plan. And in my day, husbands didn't run out on their obligations. Okay, so I'm back up there on the roofs, and every day is agony. Then, disaster. My partner Billy Heaton goes down 20 feet, and he's finished for life. Total wreck. And in those days, there's no compensation, no insurance, and I'm on Billy's guy. The partnership's only meant to tide you over, but his wife could only get part-time work and had to look after him as well as their kids.
You supported him?
And this is the part your grandmothers never know. I supported that family for nearly 15 years. I never told her I gave them 1/3 of what I earned, because I knew she would have screamed blue, bloody murder. That's why we never had any cash to spare. And that's why I couldn't find 10,000 to put her into business with her friends.
That seems a very generous thing to have done for your friend.
You would have done the same for me. So, yeah, I was tough on your father, but I didn't have the money to pay an assistant. Somebody had to help or I would have gone under. It makes me sick these days when I turn on the TV, and it pushes how life is happy and glamorous and easy. I'll tell you that for me, and the majority of blokes in my generation, life was anything but glamorous. It was sheer, grinding, bloody survival. And I just like the occasional woman, somewhere, sometime, to realize that and say thank you.
understand what I was getting at.
Thy husband is thy Lord, thy life, thy keeper. Somewhat in excess a great leap, but since meeting thy grandfather, this other should surely strike at thy heart. One that cares for thee and for thy maintenance, commits his body to painful labor both by sea and land, to watch the night in storms, sedate and cold, whilst thou liest warm at home, secure and safe. He fought the Japanese. He bore scores on scores of tiles aloft to wintry rules, and those idealized patriarchal alliances thou disparatest so. What of those 15 years supporting his partner sadly injured,